In a world that is bustling with emotions, navigating it as an emotionally sensitive person can feel like an intricate dance. Every emotional wave, whether yours or someone else's, can be deeply felt, making it easy to become overwhelmed. But by embracing your sensitivity and learning to practice emotional self-care, you can transform this trait into a source of strength. Today, we are sharing strategies from the audiobook, The Emotionally Sensitive Person: Finding Peace When Your Emotions Overwhelm You, by Dr. Karyn D. This audiobook includes powerful tools for staying grounded in the present, identifying emotional triggers, and experiencing emotions without experiencing distress. In this episode, Dr. Karyn D. provides practical emotional self-care strategies. These strategies will help you stay grounded, even in overwhelming circumstances, and help you manage intense emotions before they take over your life. Welcome to Your Great Journey, the podcast that's your passport to a better you. We've got an exclusive gift for our podcast community. Download our free ebook, Calm Your Mind: 50 Effective Strategies to Relieve Anxiety and Stress. Claim your gift now by visiting yourgreatjourney.com/calm.
First steps to control: emotional first aid. You've probably noticed by now that when you're filled with emotion, you often don't behave in logical ways. And the results of your actions, at least in the long term, aren't pleasant. That's likely to be no surprise. Maybe you've promised yourself many times that you wouldn't be controlled by your emotions. You may believe the problem is lack of willpower to stick to what you said you were going to do. But everyone's willpower is limited. You only have so much. You may keep to your promise for a few hours or days, and then your emotions will overwhelm you again. Willpower doesn't work. Using sheer willpower, avoiding your emotions, and chasing ways to feel better will make you more miserable and more overwhelmed in the long run. Some of the strategies that do work you probably already know but aren't using. When you feel out of control of your actions, it's difficult to see that you can take steps that make a difference. The following techniques will help you feel less overwhelmed in general. In later chapters, you'll learn more detailed strategies. Remember, just knowing the strategies doesn't work. It's critical that you practice and use them. Identify the cause. If you're emotionally sensitive, you often are unsure about the reasons for your emotions. You may sometimes find that you're depressed, scared, or angry, but don't know why. If you can accurately identify what you're feeling and the cause, then you'll know better how to cope effectively. For example, if you're afraid because a snowstorm is coming, then stocking up on food and putting snow tires on your car are logical and constructive steps to take. Taking appropriate action to solve or make a difference in the problem will help you manage the emotion. Sometimes, though, there's no action you can take. If you realize you're anxious because someone you love is having minor surgery tomorrow, then there's nothing you can do to change the situation. But you can be aware that the reason for your upset is time-limited. Knowing that you'll only have to cope with that anxiety temporarily, you can find ways to comfort or distract yourself. Now imagine that you're anxious, but haven't thought about the reason. You go through your whole week feeling uncomfortable. Finally, you consider what might be causing your discomfort. You realize that you haven't heard from the company where you applied for a job last week. This helps you put the emotion in perspective. You might smile and shake your head, realizing that while you want the job, it wouldn't be terrible if you didn't get it. In this case, identifying the reason for your emotion helps you manage the emotion in a different way. Sometimes emotionally sensitive people say the reason for their upset is that really awful things do happen in the world. For sure, this thought adds to their misery. But general ideas, such as this one, are often the result of feeling sad or hurt rather than the cause. Look for specific events that led to the global judgment. If you think your life is a mess, what was the most recent example of your life being a mess? Detailed, factual statements, such as, "My mom said she was angry and fed up that I asked for rent money again," can help you find solutions to problems. General statements of misery, such as, "My mom's a selfish jerk," will only lead you to feel overwhelmed and hopeless. Recognize that your feelings aren't necessarily reality. When you're feeling happy and joyful, you tend to think positive thoughts, and all may seem right in the world. When you're upset, you may not remember how good you felt before and be unable to believe that you may feel good again, even though nothing in your life has significantly changed. During those times, your thoughts are often pessimistic, and you may see all as hopeless. Thoughts like, "I feel miserable because the world is a horrible place and my life is a mess," may be typical. That's just the way the human brain works. You tend to see the world based on your emotions at a given moment. For emotionally sensitive people, this can create an emotional roller coaster ride, where one day you're up and the next day you're down. One way to let go of the belief that your misery is forever is to track your feelings. Keep a diary in which you write about your emotions and the events that happened each day. After a couple of months, go back and review what you've written. You'll notice that your outlook tends to change with your feelings. Recognizing that your thoughts often reflect your feelings and not necessarily the facts of your life can be helpful. Don't feed painful emotions. It may seem logical that managing difficult emotions, such as sadness, involves not doing things that add to those emotions or make them stronger. However, this is harder than it sounds. When you're depressed, you probably won't naturally choose to be around happy people who are laughing. You're likely to seek out others who are unhappy. If you're angry with someone, you may think of more reasons to be angry with that person, with the result that you stay angry longer. If you've just broken up with your romantic partner, you'll be drawn to sad songs about lost loves. The good news is, there are many ways that you can keep yourself from making difficult emotions even more intense. Stop the replay. When you're angry or scared or experiencing other uncomfortable emotions, you may replay over and over in your head whatever happened to make you feel that way. You may look for additional evidence to support the way you feel, maybe to justify your feelings. You may remember all the wrongs people have done to you, all the times when a particular person was hurtful, or all the mistakes you've made. This behavior is so common, there's a term for it: throwing in the kitchen sink. Making a list of past wrongs doesn't help resolve the current situation. However, it only makes you more upset. One way to stop reigniting your emotions is to gently remind yourself to stay in the here and now. Focus only on the current situation, and if your mind goes to the past, gently refocus your attention again and again, if you need to. You could also try the following informal mindfulness exercise. Notice your thoughts about past experiences that upset you. Then notice where the thoughts are helpful. Describe the thoughts as such. Say to yourself, "That's a helpful thought," or "That isn't helpful." Another option is to practice acceptance. Accepting what happened doesn't mean that you approve of or agree with what happened. Accepting what happened means only that you acknowledge it occurred. You stop wishing it were different, believing it shouldn't have happened, or blaming others, and accept that it did happen and it's over. Acceptance is also about your thoughts. Accepting that you're having an upsetting thought means you stop fighting the thought. Each time you experience the thought, you label it. That's a thought. And stop yourself from going down the what-if path. By doing so, you're recognizing that just because you think something doesn't mean it's true. Humans have thoughts all the time that don't reflect reality. Many of our thoughts are about things that are out of our control. You can also substitute other thoughts in order to stop an unhealthful review of an upsetting situation. Counting backward from 100 by threes, or doing multiplication tables in your head, for example, could be helpful.
Thanks for listening to this excerpt from the audiobook, The Emotionally Sensitive Person: Finding Peace When Your Emotions Overwhelm You. You can purchase the complete audiobook from any major online audiobook retailer.
Your Great Journey is brought to you by audiobook publisher Wetware Media. Wetware Media publishes a wide variety of personal transformation audiobooks. Please visit wetwaremedia.com. That's WETWAREMEDIA.com.
This podcast is provided for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical or mental health advice. This content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical or mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of a qualified mental health professional.